First of all, I just want to say thank you all for being with us. And now we have our panel discussion. I want to say thank you to all the panelists and the moderator for waiting for this one. And as Open Finance transforms the financial landscape, it's crucial for large institutions to rethink their strategies to remain competitive and customer-centric. Today's panel discussion, Reimagining Strategies for Large Institutions in the Open Finance Era, is very, very important. It is how open finance is reshaping the operations, innovation, and customer engagement of large institutions. Our moderator today is Mr. Samir Shetty, President and Head of Digital Business and Transformation at Axis Bank. Samir leads digital product launches, process transformations, and digital channels at Axis Bank. I'm also very thrilled to announce our panelists. We have Mr. Manoj Kashyap, EVP of Digital Experiences at HDFC Bank. Manoj has extensive experience in driving digital transformation and innovation with a focus on creating seamless and engaging customer experiences. And I'm very happy to say we have a woman on this panel, Ms. Shalu Kaushik, Chief Digital Officer at Tata Capital. Ms. Shalu is an expert in digital transformation, retail banking, and product strategy. Also on the panel is Mr. Bhavesh Jain, Chief Risk Officer at TransUnion CIBIL. Mr. Bhavesh has 15 years of experience in strategic planning and financial services. Lastly, we have Mr. Anand Raisinghani, CEO of Setu. Mr. Anand is also known for his customer-first approach, commercial acumen, and strong leadership in driving profitability through technology innovation. Welcome.
Hopefully we can we'll just wait in for.
So looks like we are very moderated people. That's why we are starting on our own. Introducing myself, I'm Shalu Kaushik. I take care of all the digital transformation and initiatives for Tata Capital. Over 2 decades of experience in the banking and the financial sector. That's about me.
Hi, this is Manoj Kashyap here. I lead the digital experience in HDFC Bank. I have been in the banking industry for the last 3 decades now. And I'm excited here today to listen and also talk about something about account aggregator. Yeah.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Bhavesh Jain. I manage business for TransUnion CIBIL in India. And look forward to the conversation with Shalu, Anand, and Samir, whom I know for a long time, and good to know Manoj as well. The topic is quite exciting, account aggregators, I think so. As an industry, we are at the inflection point to look forward to a great adoption.
All right, I'm going to just play the role of the moderator. Okay, there you are. All right. So we began, Samir.
Yeah, no, thanks. I was in the speaker's lounge. But anyways, thanks a lot everyone for joining, and thank you all for coming in and sharing your insights. It's been a long day, so we'll keep it short and we'll keep it punchy. Account aggregator, obviously, as all of us know, it has grown by leaps and bounds. I think more than 100 million accounts are now linked across various types of institutions, banks, NBFCs, insurance companies, and now also the SEBI-listed entities. So there is a lot happening. We have a great panel here. We have 2 big consumers and providers of data, Manoj from HDFC Bank and Shalu from Tata. And we have 2 folks who have a very interesting perspective from a ecosystem and providers perspective. So Anand and Bhavesh, welcome all. We'll not do more. I think everybody knows everyone, so I will not do any formal introductions. Yeah. Okay. Great. So already introductions are done. So what maybe we'll do is just start with a little bit of short perspective, your own short perspective on account aggregator and how you see it, and maybe in that introduce 1 or 2 use cases that you have seen and what's worked for you. Shalu, maybe we start with you.
Sure. So welcome, Samir.
Thank you.
Okay, just on a lighter note. So what we what we see account aggregator as, I think lot has been spoken. I attended few sessions, maybe repeat for few, but what we are seeing is obviously it's empowering individuals to unlock the value of the financial information what one holds. And the beauty is that it is about one single platform, secured platform with the purpose driven, and we just saw how the purpose is fairly used, or even if it is not, it's the ecosystem is ensuring that is fairly used. I come from a NBFC company, so obviously the use cases is very, very straightforward for us. One of the major use cases, which is the lending. Lending is obviously really getting changed because of this ecosystem. How we are using it, obviously from a underwriting perspective and portfolio monitoring perspective. We all know how lending works. It's heaps of paper, thin file, thick file, lot of kind of file processing which happens. But this framework is definitely changing the way we look at underwriting or loan processing. Earlier, if the and in some way we all need to understand the kind of carbon footprint we are able to save because of this whole thing. I am not sure whether we are measuring that or not, but yes, I think a time will come that we will start talking about that also from a sustainability perspective. But coming back to the point, what I'm trying to say is that earlier, getting a loan was about number of days task, depending upon the type of loan, personal loan, home loan, and whatever you were doing. Now with this kind of framework, things are becoming within a couple of hours. So narrowing down on the point which you said, we are using largely for underwriting and portfolio monitoring. A bit on the portfolio underwriting also, obviously, lending and financial system is about money management. So what money is coming from one side has to be deployed at the lending side, and a fair use of that should be done. That's how portfolio monitoring is so useful. You keep monitoring your customers to whom you are actually lending, who's your borrower. From there on, you can continue to maintain a good portfolio, and what it means at the end of the day, a healthy ecosystem so that this credit cycle can continue if your portfolio is healthy. That's how we are using it.
Great, thanks Shalu. Great examples of how you're using it for lending. Manoj, maybe we move on to you.
Yeah. See, so far we at HDFC Bank have been largely focused on our existing customers, right? And we in the last few months have seen a pretty good offtake on account aggregator. It's reaching almost customers where I need a bank statement. We are reaching about 40 to 50% coming through now account aggregator, so which is a very good number to really start having now. Now this obviously now opens a big opportunity that can we leverage for new to bank, new to credit? Because today my 70 to 80% of our lending or lending is to existing customers. Only 20 or 30% is to new to bank. There's a large opportunity out there which we can leverage through AA. And I'm sure you all know that for our existing customers, we are able to give a personal loan in 10 seconds, right? Through AA, we see an opportunity that even for a new to bank, we would be able to give a personal loan in 10 seconds. That's really the desirable journey for us. And we are pretty sure that very soon we'll be able to offer that product also in the market. Yeah.
Great, thanks Manoj. Bhavish, how about you?
So, being in civil for more than 15 years, I think so probably I can go back into time and sort of superimpose this journey and say account aggregator is at the inflection point. And it's that just a hockey stick jump from here. I think so everybody is excited about how it empowers the consumer, how it's going to help the ecosystem. So we are very excited and feel that the two use cases which have got a lot of adoption, lending and PFM, but how do we work on the other two use cases, which is insurance and MSME? Because I think so MSMEs need a lot of information to be provided to the lenders or financial institution, to the point which Manoj made, saying that we can give a personal loan in 10 seconds. I want to be in a similar panel few years later where a financial institution is saying we can give a loan to MSME in 10 seconds. That's the moment of happiness I want to go through, because MSMEs are the ones who actually need credit at this point of time. So those are the use cases. And then coming from Credit Bureau is the sort of work we are doing with partners, including Setu, is that how we can combine credit data and account aggregator information so that lenders like you all can get a holistic view about the consumer, because both are sort of regulated, consented journeys, and it helps the credit institutions to have a 360-degree view and take a decision whether an individual or MSME. So excited about the journey ahead. It's an inflection point, and I think so it looks great that 5 years later, 10 years later, we will have a similar moment where we say that, oh, account aggregator is way of life for us.
Yep. I think, so you spoke about how it is being used for credit in the retail space. The next frontier, according to you, is the MSME. When we come back in the second round, I'll also bring in some of the secured products, because I think that's where another set of inflection points can come through. But Anand, why don't we hear from you?
Thanks, Amir. So look, I'd probably like to just kick this off by saying that, there's this one quote that Yuval Noah Harari had written in his book Sapiens, and he had spoken about how money is perhaps one of the most universal and efficient ways of establishing mutual trust that society has ever seen. And if you actually just start to unpack something like that, financial data ecosystems like what we're trying to see in account aggregators are literally rails, or they're a different kind of network where this money or trust can actually move at pace. I think India's already seen that when you start innovating at scale, keeping the customer at the center of what we want to do, we've just seen, how UPI crazy a nation we are, and the kind of use cases that are emanating from what we can do in the payments ecosystem. Genuinely, where we are with the account aggregator and all things open banking, I think we're at a similar point in time where this can actually work or it can manifest in ways that truly define innovation in the hands of the consumer, right? So while the use cases will always continue to be providing credit to the end customer, there are just so many nuances that this can start to unpack. And I think, as we were all discussing last evening as well, one of the big things that we have to take into account is that there is this notion of a care of duty, whether it's from a lender, whether it's from an NBFC, whether it's from a discount broker, technology service providers as well. And maybe that's an element that we should just talk a little bit more, because more and more what we are beginning to see is that there is a significant amount of intentionality that's going into how these get built within customer touch points, customer journeys. And I think that's really very valuable for us if we want to see this to scale to the levels that we've seen other products scale to within India. So that's just my perspective.
Thanks, Anand. Very wide-ranging perspectives, and we'll touch on all of those. So great first remarks. What I'll do is maybe pick and choose and ask some specific questions and deep dive. So first, Shalu, with you, you mentioned, obviously, look, account aggregator in the unsecured space is a very proven use case now. I don't think we need to talk about it. Let's move to the secured space. And A, how you are seeing account aggregator help you, and B, what more can be done so that, there is a little bit of disruption on that space as well.
Yeah, so I think for the secured side, it's actually more meaningful, because there thicker file concept is higher there, because obviously you are evaluating customer on multi-dimensional thing. Over and above the asset, underlying asset, you are also taking care of checking all the bank statements, all the financials, all the basically all income records also. Here comes a higher role from an account aggregator perspective. So definitely, I think in secured, in fact, in unsecured business, there are, as we know, it could be a thinner file where existing customer you are able to underwrite basis the past information also. However, in secured side, you are actually looking for updated information. All records are important and all. So I think account aggregator plays a very important role. Answering the second part of your question, what we are looking at, I think providing information more real time. Data is getting more real time, right? In our ecosystem, everywhere is getting real time. Anand spoke about payments. So we've seen, we are experiencing, it's everywhere, right? So I think the more we have real time availability, the more meaningful it will become, the more usable it will become. So that's where I feel if a kind of ecosystem is well established, laid out from the usability perspective, uninterrupted flow of information, scalable flow of information, that will be really, really helpful.
Right. Great. So real time, scalable, and on the fingertips. And I think one other perspective is that account aggregator at the end of the day is something that enables customers to share their information with some institution. Today that is restricted to financial services. Tomorrow that could go beyond. As an example, let's say your land records could very well be shared over account aggregator, and that's another dimension that could also help, right? So just I'm going around a little bit randomly instead of in one dimension to break the monotony. Anand, I'll come to you next. In your mind, what is the art of the possible? Like, what are you seeing that's happening that's great, but also what do you, from your perspective, since you work with multiple players and so on and so forth, what are the three of us missing? Let me ask you that way.
Well, I don't think I'm going to try and profess and say that this is something you're missing, but I'll just try and talk through 2 or 3 things that we've seen which demonstrate the power of how you can actually build this out beyond the traditional set of use cases, right? So, and look, Setu comes from a heritage of being a very strong payments background. So that's something that we pride ourselves. That's where we've grown up. That's where we've earned our stripes. There's this, I still remember there's this one tweet that Mr. Uday Kotak put out, and I think this is about 14, 15 years ago, where he said banking is a very simple business, or lending is a very simple business. You give out money, but a lot of people forget that you have to collect money, right? There's no other confusion behind this entire business. We overcomplicate it. And I think the one thing that we've seen a leading NBFC do with us is to say that, look, we actually have standing instructions via eNACH that come into us. We all realize that there is a significant trail-off in case this fails, right? Is there a way that we can actually introduce the account aggregator to check a balance or a reminder before we actually introduce the eNACH? Because it's a costly affair for us. Obviously, you can start to pick up rules, you can start to figure out how the next kick-in comes in, what you check for. But there's also a way to say, okay, before I then go back and retry the eNACH, is there a way that I can maybe send the customer an intimation or a QR code link to either pay via a link, via a QR code, via another channel? Essentially, what you're trying to say is that are there ways that you can improve collections efficiency in the entire workflow, which is not necessarily got to do with just knowing more about the customer, but being able to leverage where the money currently lies within the ecosystem and make it more efficient for the customer to pay at a point that's convenient, right? I think that's a really good use case. This could actually bring in a lot of collection efficiency that comes out of the box, right? You don't need to keep retrying eNACH because that's the only way that in the manner which you set it up. The other thing that we've seen is with a leading discount broker, and I genuinely believe it talks to the whole concept of care. We all know that F&O as a use case is currently under a lot of scrutiny. What they very clearly establish is what is the vintage of the account, how long has it been. If the account has not been opened for at least a vintage of 6 months, they will not allow the individual to trade, right? And this is business loss, but that's a call that they've taken. If there is a certain AQB or average quarterly balance that they've maintained, which is below a certain threshold, compared to the amount that the individual wants to invest in the market, they will say, sorry, we are not going to allow you to invest that amount of money. So there's just an element of saying, look, of course there is an element of saying, look, can I please ensure that the business that I do is healthy? But there's also an element to say that, is this something that's the right thing for me to offer as my consumer? In fact, the very same discount broker I'd like to talk about is actually putting themselves out there where they're saying that, look, we will give you a consolidated view of all your stock holdings across every other broker that you have. And if you believe that we offer you a quality of service which is better than what you're seeing with somebody else, we will find a way to trigger in an offline manner the movement of or the consolidation of all your stocks into our account. Now just think about it, right? It's literally creating a mechanism to say, look, I'm so confident about the quality of service that I provide, and I'm keeping the customer at the center of this, that I have the confidence that if I do what's right by the customer, the tide will lift for us and the tide will lift for everybody in the industry. And I think these are just a couple of use cases that we've seen where, which are a little orthogonal, but clearly demonstrate the power of what AA brings to the table beyond just what we do in the lending space. Right? So just a few examples.
Great. So one on collections, which is being a little more thoughtful about when you trigger the collection. And second on, it's a discount broking example, but could apply to anyone, which is consolidation of all your accounts, showing some insights and then triggering some kind of
smart actions, correct.
Smart
Yep.
actions.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Very helpful. Thanks, Anand. Bhavesh, same question to you. What are you seeing in the art of the possible?
So I would say few things. One is that you spoke about how do we take the adoption to other use cases. I think so few aspects to consider. One is that how can we simplify and sort of work on the user journey, because that will be the key. Second would be that how do we make the consent more explicit, simplified, appealing to the consumer to give the consent, because there are various conversations saying that yes, it's worked on unsecured, can it work on secured, it's worked on assisted, will it work on fully digital channels? So how do we make sure that all those things are taken care? So I think these 2 points will be important. Third is that if we have to really take it to the grassroots level and make it a way of life, financial literacy and education will be the key. Because today a consumer may not understand and appreciate the technicality, may not be comfortable saying that, because on one side in a Bharat, you have a consumer who's been sort of educated on OTP sharing, and same time when they see this, is it confusing the consumer? So I think it's important that financial literacy and education is done, including all vernacular languages, so that the consumer becomes comfortable that AA is the right way for the consumer to opt in. I think so these are some of the steps to really increase the adoption. And then I think so sort of have within each institution certain metrics defined in terms of that these are the benefits we get to adopt on A, and then ensuring that the field force is also excited and educated. Because end of the day, the consumer will meet the field force and not the central teams like us. So I think so these are some of the steps which I feel are critical to really improve adoption further.
Thanks, Bhavesh. We'll come to the adoption and strategy point more broadly. But Manoj, from you obviously are working on a large number of use cases. Lending is one. But if you can take one or two of the ones that maybe are live or not even live, but you are most excited about.
So today, as I said, that we land up for our existing customers. Look at what they are holding with us, and this is that make them offers on loans or on cards. Now through AA, I have an opportunity now to look at the larger, financial ecosystem of the customer. He may be thinly banking with me. He may be completely banking with me. I not always realize it, right? But now through AA, we are looking, and we are pretty excited about it, that we will be able to now start getting a complete view of the customer's full banking, and therefore maybe give a complete offer to the customer. maybe a customer who is actually worth 25 lakhs, I'm only giving him a, today, a approval of only 5 lakh rupees. And customer is not excited at all. His overall wealth is, say, 1 crore, and I'm giving an offer of 5 lakhs, which he is least interested in. But the moment I have the full visibility, I should be able to give him a good offer, and therefore I will probably stop losing my customers to competition, going to them for any loans, which probably, even in BFCs, which will end up giving him, higher loans for that. So that's one piece that we are really, keenly looking at, and we are going to be aggressively driving AA to our own customers before we really start looking at how do we make it. Obviously it is a given that in all our origination journeys it will be there. What we are keenly looking at is our existing customers, which we have a large base, how can we start getting information of their banking with other banks through AA? That is one we are looking at.
Understood. Great. Thanks, Manoj. One question to Shalu and Manoj, which is continuing the adoption point. Financial institutions are, kind of world famous for being extremely siloed and working in small pockets. The account aggregator benefit is cross-institution, and adoption requires like a very large set of folks to come together. So how are you guys organizing yourselves, and how are you thinking about, driving both the adoption from a FIP perspective, but also from an FIU perspective of account aggregator?
Yeah. So at least at HDFC, what we're doing is we have created a sensitivity around AA with every unit in the bank, right? Which probably was not existing even few months back. So we made sure that now everyone understands that there is a real element which is account aggregator, and we have made sure that everyone understands and appreciates what it brings to the table and what are the risks and opportunity it has. It also has a risk because if you do not operate, then you are just an FIP, right? Yeah. So you don't want to be in that situation very long, right? So now everyone is woken up to the clear fact that you have also to be an FIU, right? Being a large player in the market, we can't only be FIP. So that is one that we've done, and we've given today, most of our digital origination happens in an assisted manner. We are making sure that our teams who reach out to customers, they start getting educated on AA, so that when we are seeking information, we start doing it through AA rather than any other method. So that is one way, something which we are really working on.
Right.
Sharing my perspective, I'll give two dimensions to it. One is the customer side, one is the rigor side of it. On the customer side, obviously, as all of us understand, one is the customer DIY kind of journey, where the customer himself or herself comes and completes the journey. So there, by design, we have put in all our journeys, AA as one of the recommended way of approaching this. And obviously, here UI matters a lot, or UX also matters a lot. So we have taken care of each one of that. We have voice of customer. We have spoken personally with the customer, what's working, what's not working, how we can modify the UI part of it. So we keep working on it. There is a team who keeps looking at it. So this is the customer DIY. When it comes to the channel assisted, which obviously is quite prevalent practice of acquisition, there also each of our business line in each of the assisted journeys has this as one of the approach, and actually this is being followed with the rigor that how many customers have been sent the link, how many clicked it, how many gave consent to it, which takes me to the second part of it, which is the rigor part of it. There also we have a top-down approach and bottoms-up approach. Top-down is whenever these kind of penetration gets monitored, right from the top, these things get monitored, and which channel, which team is doing good, what is not happening well, and all that stuff that gets discussed. And actually we have a very, lately we have a lot of, for past 6 months, the rigor is increasing with time. And from a bottoms-up approach also, each team brings in a feedback to us, because obviously when they are questioned, they tell us what's not working. So you have his list of things that they will come back to us, that why this is not working for us. When the customer was sitting in front, this was not working, this didn't happen, this didn't happen. So that gives you a confidence, yes, there is a effort going in. Now you have to keep working on the improvisation cycle. That's how we end up approaching it.
Fantastic. So, communication with the teams, making clear the positives and negatives, and the fact that if you don't use it, you are only providing, and the rigor and putting it in every journey and top-down kind of regular cascades to get feedback. Bhavesh, another question to you, which is, we are now living along, like, you know, this famous quote of Spider-Man, great power comes great responsibility. So along with great digital adoption comes great digital fraud. So what are you doing to ensure that the account aggregator ecosystem is, you know, or what do you think should happen so that the account aggregator ecosystem is, you know, robust and safe and stands the test of time? Bhavesh, maybe you can go first.
Yeah, so Samir, here I'll go back to my previous point about education, because the victim is victimized because of his or her lack of awareness, and sharing of OTP or any of those malpractices happen because of the consumer not being educated. So I would leave the point in the room saying that the most important thing is to educate the consumer. Second is in terms of ensuring that within each institution, the data flow and the data sort of aspect is taken care in the secured manner. And while we all have our antennas up on the fraud and data security, but you never sort of can completely predict an incident. So I would say that the CISOs, along with the rest of the organization, will play a very, very important role, because it's an evolving space. From where the next threat will come on these data points, we don't know, because it's pretty sort of evolving as we talk about it. And most important is saying that can we, as an industry, publish certain do's and don'ts for the financial institutions and for the consumers. Like, there are a lot of do's and don'ts published by regulator, by CICs. I think so it's time for a space also to have those published for the financial institution and for the end consumers. These are the points I would put it across.
Anand?
So Samir, you know, the question that you've asked is almost like national defense. Jitna bhi karo, kam hoga. Look, from our standpoint, I can actually share two very, very recent cases that came up to us, right? In one situation, there was actually a request which is around 103, which has a certain data life, where while we are a TSP, I think our team actually went ahead and told the customer that, hey, you should not be looking at this for beyond 30 days, right? That's how you're using the data. It's meant to be used with a certain sense of care. Of course, ultimately, it's the call that the lender or the NBFC takes. But from our standpoint, I think we aim to try and be as transparent as we can, even though we operate behind a layer of segregation or a layer of separation where we are a service provider. But I think the other piece also, and again, this is something that we just faced about 3 or 4 weeks ago, where we've just upped the level of KYC, the usage, the understanding of what really needs to get consumed when you utilize this ecosystem. Because a lot of times there would be ways and means to make use, given the power is so high, right? Just the ability to use this information and provide a sense to the customer is just so tremendous that I think from our end, we are aiming to try and do a lot more on the KYC side to say, are you actually allowed to use this in the manner? And that's something that do we do it sufficiently enough? I think we've at least attempted to start doing this in a manner and not say that, look, because we're a TSP, this isn't our responsibility. But, you know, things around what's the right number of pulls? What use case are you taking this for? What period are you using this? I think that's a sense of maturity that the whole industry will evolve to. I think Manoj made the point, right? We've got to wake up and smell the coffee. Are we just being a provider versus being a user? And it goes back to the point that you said as well, as custodians of customer information, if this starts to move away from the premise that this is valuable to the customer, I think it will be to the detriment of everybody in the ecosystem. It's not just one individual institution or one individual technology provider. And I just think if the tide rises, then all boats lift with the tide. And I think if we can operate from that premise, I think we should be okay. So I think, we've obviously operated from a position of mindful care. I think that's been the general sense that I think even without the regulator, I think that's the premise that we've seen all financial institutions operate with. So I think we should be okay on that front. But yes, we should be mindful of what we're doing is ultimately giving the customer the confidence and the trust that they're in safe hands. Yeah, that's my view.
Great, thanks. I think we are almost out of time, so I'll open up for questions. We can take a couple and then close. Questions, if any?
Yeah, it's been a long day, I guess.
Looks like there aren't any. Thanks a lot everyone for joining. For me, the big takeaways, one, in general, there is a lot of optimism, excitement across everybody on this panel, which I guess also, symbolizes the excitement broadly in the industry. We spoke about multiple types of use cases. We spoke about secured lending, unsecured, which is already kind of quite prevalent. Shalu spoke about how they're using it for secured. Manoj spoke about how they want to do 10-second loans for NTB customers. And you guys shared your experiences around collections and, consolidation and PFM and so on and so forth. So a wide variety of use cases. We also spoke about the potential of new types of data coming into this ecosystem, not just financial services. We spoke about how institutions are organizing themselves to ensure adoption of this at the ground level. We spoke about the art of the possible and what new things can come through. We also spoke about the fiduciary responsibility that all of us have, that finally account aggregator was launched with the intent that the data is the customer's property. Yep. It is neither the FIP's, and equally importantly, it is not the FIU's property. It's the customer's property, and we are kind of, we are custodians of that data, and hence we have a duty of care. And if we can all kind of have that perspective, this ecosystem can only, grow exponentially from here. Thank you everyone for your time. We are bang on time. Thanks a lot everyone for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm calling upon BG Mahesh to give each of the panelists and the moderator a token of our appreciation.